On the evening of April 14, 1865, Washington, D.C. hummed with an air of celebration. The Civil War had concluded just days earlier, marked by General Robert E. Lee's surrender. President Abraham Lincoln, accompanied by his wife, attended a performance of Our American Cousin at Ford's Theater. John Wilkes Booth, a famous actor and fervent Confederate sympathizer, had plotted for months to kidnap President Lincoln and exchange him for Confederate prisoners. However, with the Confederacy's defeat, Booth's plans grew more desperate and turned to assassination. Booth aimed to decapitate the Union government by simultaneously killing Lincoln, Vice President Andrew Johnson, and Secretary of State William H. Seward.
Booth, familiar with the layout of Ford's Theater, knew exactly how to carry out his grim task. As the play progressed, Booth stealthily entered the president's box, armed with a .44 caliber Derringer pistol and a dagger. At approximately 10:15 p.m., during a moment of loud laughter from the audience, Booth fired a single shot at the back of Lincoln's head. Booth then leaped onto the stage, breaking his leg in the process, before fleeing the theater. Chaos erupted as the audience and actors realized what had transpired.
What? He's been shot. You stay here.
Lincoln was immediately attended to by Dr. Charles Leal, who confirmed the worst: the president had been fatally wounded. Lincoln was carried across the street to Peterson House, where he succumbed to his injuries the following morning at 7:22 a.m. The nation plunged into deep mourning, and Booth became the most wanted man in America.
In this alternative timeline, the events of April 14, 1865, took a drastically different turn. As John Wilkes Booth approached the president's box with his deadly intent, he was unaware of an additional security measure implemented that evening. General Ulysses S. Grant, who had initially planned to attend the theater with the Lincolns but was unable to, sent a detachment of Union soldiers as a precautionary detail. As Booth attempted to enter the box, he was confronted by these soldiers. A brief struggle ensued, and Booth was apprehended before he could fire his weapon. Booth was arrested and taken into custody, his plot foiled. The failed assassination attempt sent shockwaves through the nation. President Lincoln, though shaken, addressed the public the following day, expressing gratitude for his safety and emphasizing the need for national unity and reconciliation. The arrest and subsequent trial of Booth became a national spectacle.
Lincoln's survival had profound political, social, and economic impacts. His continued leadership facilitated a more lenient Reconstruction process. The president's vision of a united nation, with malice toward none, with charity for all, guided the reintegration of the southern states. The Reconstruction policies under Lincoln's administration were more forgiving, aiming to rebuild the South's infrastructure and economy, while ensuring civil rights for newly freed African Americans.
Without the martyrdom that had defined Lincoln's legacy in our historical timeline, his policies were actively implemented and debated. The radical Republicans, who had favored a harsher approach to Reconstruction, found themselves in a delicate balance with Lincoln's more moderate stance. This dynamic led to more collaborative legislation aimed at healing the nation rather than punishing the South.
Lincoln's continued presidency saw the establishment of the Freedmen's Bureau, which provided assistance to former slaves and impoverished Southern whites.
Abraham Lincoln has asked us to work with him to accomplish the death of slavery in America.
Education initiatives and land redistribution programs were more robust, leading to a better integration of African Americans into society and the economy. The president's support for the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments ensured that civil rights were enshrined in the Constitution, laying a stronger foundation for future civil rights movements.
Economically, Lincoln's leadership during Reconstruction spurred infrastructure development. Railroads expanded further into the South, facilitating commerce and migration. The Homestead Act of 1862 continued to encourage Western expansion, with more equitable land distribution policies ensuring broader participation from different ethnic groups.
Politically, Lincoln's survival altered the landscape significantly. Vice President Andrew Johnson, who had been problematic in the original timeline due to his lenient policies towards the South and opposition to civil rights for freed slaves, remained in his role without ascending to the presidency. This allowed Lincoln's more balanced approach to dominate the Reconstruction era. The president's assassination attempt and subsequent survival also led to increased security measures for future presidents, setting a precedent for the protection of national leaders.
As Lincoln completed his second term, He focused on ensuring that the nation remained united and that the scars of the Civil War healed. His efforts were recognized with a Nobel Peace Prize in 1869, honoring his commitment to peace and reconciliation. When he finally left office in 1869, Lincoln was succeeded by Ulysses S. Grant, whose presidency further built upon Lincoln's Reconstruction policies, continuing the path towards a more unified and equitable America. Lincoln's survival had even longer-reaching implications. The unity and progress established during his extended presidency set the groundwork for the United States to emerge as a stronger nation in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The social reforms and infrastructure improvements led to a more robust economy and a more cohesive society.
The impact on race relations, although not perfect, was notably better. The stronger enforcement of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments under Lincoln's guidance led to earlier gains in civil rights, which would influence later movements. The more inclusive policies encouraged participation from a broader segment of the population, fostering a more diverse and dynamic society.
Internationally, Lincoln's leadership during Reconstruction positioned the United States as a model of democracy and reconciliation. His diplomatic efforts and peaceful policies garnered respect from other nations, influencing global politics and contributing to a more stable international environment.
The vision that Lincoln held for America, a vision of unity, equality, and progress, was realized to a greater extent in this alternate timeline. His leadership during the critical post-war years helped to heal the nation and set it on a path of growth and development. In the years that followed, Lincoln's legacy continued to inspire generations. His efforts to promote education, equal rights, and national unity left an indelible mark on American society. Schools, libraries, and monuments were erected in his honor, not just as a tribute to the man who led the nation through its darkest hours, but as a beacon of hope and perseverance.
The survival of President Lincoln not only changed the immediate course of American history, but also set a more progressive trajectory for the nation. His leadership during the critical years following the Civil War established a legacy of unity, civil rights, and national healing that would influence the United States for generations to come. The failed assassination attempt on April 14, 1865, did not only save a president's life, but also preserved his vision for a united America. Through the lens of historical fiction, we can imagine a world where Lincoln's enduring leadership fostered a more inclusive and reconciled nation. This alternative history serves as a testament to the profound impact one event can have on the course of human history.